Hey everyone, in this video we'll be talking about Bestiary 3 for Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Paizo sent us the Bestiary 3 for us to take a look at, and here are a bunch of our thoughts on it.
The first thing that I like the most about this Bestiary, and I think it's a trend that 2nd Edition has kind of been following, is I like to think of it as it's not just a book full of monsters, but it's a book full of adversaries. There's a lot of variety in here, and they aren't just potential experience points for your team to slaughter. And so that's a really cool sort of mindset that the game seems to be taking.
Yeah, with all of the kind of intro text, as well as there's a bunch of kind of side text that provides a lot of flavors, as well as some ideas. And like reading through this even, I had a few ideas of like, ooh, this, you could have like little mini arcs or something that are inspired by some of the beasts in this book.
Yeah, one of the little bonus icons that you'll see has to do with like relations or others. So kind of how it interacts with other people, or what other kinds of monsters or bad guys or creatures hang out with this one, which makes all of the things, whether they're monsters or animals or humanoid or whatever, feel more like they're part of an ecosystem or a society.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of those little icons off to the side that are really cool. That's one of the things that I like a lot about it. You were saying you could build an entire arc or something like that. One of my favorite entries in the book is the Bone Ship.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I think you could build an entire campaign based around that. It's only like 2, maybe 3 pages long. But there's stuff like famous named bone ships and how they work and why, and flavor text and like the hit points, the hull strength and all that kind of stuff. Plus they feel kind of like a Pathfinder cousin to the really cool bone spaceships in Starfinder. So yeah, probably one of my favorite entries in the entire book is the Bone Ship, so definitely check that one out.
In addition to like some of the undead entries they have, I feel like this book has a really nice mix of different kinds of monsters and NPCs. There's a nice kind of wide selection of creatures from various folklore from all that seems to be inspired by a wide variety of cultures. And there are undead, there's some cool fae. I especially like there's some like when spells go wrong things. And then there are also just like there's a moose. There's like some just kind of normal animals or giant versions of normal animals in there. So yeah, it really does feel like kind of no matter what system you're running, there's going to be something in this book for you.
And there's a lot of sort of variants or alternate types of were creatures and zombies and vampires and, like your types of dragons, your standard fare for monsters, but then these are some really cool alternative types of those monsters you might have. The book also has a bunch of different groups of bad guys, whether they're swarms or like the town guard or a marching militia or a group of these like fallen priesthood. It's a really cool sort of pack mechanic or group mechanic. So you can whip up not just having to figure out, okay, well, if one town's guard has this stat block, how do I deal with having 13 towns guards? I don't know, maybe you've got a group of guards that need to go after your murder hobo party. You've got those groups ready to go right in the book. I mean, A+ right there. Makes my job as a game master so much easier.
A special thanks to all of our patrons, especially Alicia. If you want to support our channel, you can head on over to patreon.com/rollforinitiative and check out the perks of being a patron. All right, let's get back to the video.
In the introduction to the book, it does provide the Game Master guidance on how to make a monster elite or weaken it, which I really appreciate, to be able to adjust something up or down a level, essentially. Mostly it's hit points, but it does have additional suggestions on ways to kind of elaborate on that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was something I saw, because I know when I've run games, there have been times where I'm like, I really want to use this monster, but it's like one level too high, and I don't want this to be a deadly encounter. So you can make those adjustments to be able to use the monster that you want.
Yeah, and before you make the comment, we'll just give it fewer hit points. Yeah, we just said that's in the book, but then, Paizo has sort of created this elite or weakened mechanic, which is more than just crunchy, numbers. And that, I think, goes to an overall feel.
Yeah.
Pathfinder is a crunchy, number-driven system. It always has been. That's not a bad thing. I'm not trying to compare it to any other system out there. It's how this one works. But just this bestiary really shows how much second edition is sort of embracing the fact that you can have role play and story as well as lots of crunch and numbers. It's not an either or thing. And I just well done to give those options just from a company standpoint. I really appreciate that.
The artwork in this is gorgeous, continues in the kind of style that you see all of the Pathfinder, but there is a nice diversity in the depictions of the different monsters. You have kind of a variety of both masculine and feminine looking monsters, which I appreciated.
Yeah. As well as you were saying, they come from, it's not just your sort of Western European creatures. There's a lot of variety. You saw a bunch of different sort of inspired by different folklores.
Yeah, there's a couple that are inspired. A lot that I noticed that were inspired by various Asian folklore. There were a couple from a few different regions in Africa. There are a number of American cryptids, which I thought was fun, seeing Mothman and
Sasquatch. Krampus. I guess Krampus.
There's a Pud. Oh, I'm forgetting how you say it. It's a Massachusetts.
Okay. Pugwog. I don't know.
That's wrong.
I don't. Somebody from Boston, tell us how you're supposed to say it. I don't know.
Yeah, and then there was Krampus.
Which, I guess that's not American, but still, really, lots of really fun stuff that you can find in there.
So there you go. That's the Bestiary 3. And I will say, you also don't need Bestiary 1 or 2. So that's a nice thing. If you look at this and say, ooh, I really like all these monsters, you don't have to get the other 2 books. You just need the core rulebook.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have this one or any of the other bestiaries? Let us know what you think is interesting, the different types of monsters or groups of creatures that are in there in the comments below. That's a great place to have that conversation.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed this video, I hope you hit like, share it with any of your friends who are looking to run Pathfinder or are already running Pathfinder. And don't forget to subscribe, because we make videos here every week all about tabletop RPGs and our other geeky interests.
If you really like this and everything that we do, also please take just a couple of minutes to check out our Patreon. It's the place where you can help us and show us that appreciation most directly. So if you got a couple of minutes, check it out.
All right, until next time, I'm Dawn.
And I'm Ryan.
And this is Roll for Initiative.
Bye.
Bye.
And what's really great about this limited edition of them is that they're completely edible.
No!
Yeah. Shit, I don't know where he's going with this. He's going off script.